Oops. Screen sharing. Sorry. Thinking to myself while screen sharing. Awesome. Hello, everybody.
I thought that was our theme song.
This is our theme song. I'm not gonna sing. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's Learning Space. My name is Nicole Galucci. I am your co-host from CosmoQuest. I am sometimes called the postdoc with the most rock. Through the wall is my co-host, Georgia Bracey.
Hello. I know, just over there.
Just through the wall. Through the wall. Through the wall.
Yeah, stop that.
Sorry. I'm going to be a little silly today. Apologies in advance. And we are joined by CosmoAcademy Director Matthew Francis. We're not going to say it. I'm going to be nice and not screw up your Twitter handle.
I was gonna say I was expecting you to do what Fraser always does and say, and it's Dr. Matthew Francis.
It's Dr. Globular Francis.
He goes by many names, apparently.
No, I just like to make fun of everything Fraser says in Canadian.
I won't tell you the nickname I picked up at a restaurant a few weeks ago.
Please do. Now you have to.
I know. That sounds like an interesting story.
The waitress was regaling us with tales about how creepy guys tried to pick her up, so she gave us all creepy nicknames, and mine was Gumdrop. So she called the woman sitting next to me Little Lady, and then I forget what she called what she called the others, but it was like we all picked up creepy nicknames. So.
Yeah, this might stick. Dr. Gumdrop. Oh man. Alright, so we have a couple of interesting topics this week, but first I would like to say welcome to everybody. If you would like to comment, please use the Q&A app anywhere where you're watching this. If it's YouTube, if it's on Google+, if it's embedded somewhere, you should be able to click on Join the Conversation. That will take you to the Q&A app where you can send us your questions and comments. I apologize for the reflective glasses. It's bothering me. It must be I don't know if it's bothering you, but allergies. Therefore, no contacts. So, we have some comments, and Guido already beat us to it. Happy birthday, Nancy Graziano.
Yeah.
Hey!
Birthday girl. Welcome.
Happy birthday, Nancy. Yes, Nancy Graziano, who was helping us out just at last week, a little over a week ago at Balticon, where CosmoQuest had a table, and we were recruiting new citizen scientists from the sci-fi fantasy convention that is Balticon, and you guys came out and helped us, which is awesome. Nancy's also responsible for reformatting all of the Cards Against Astronomy cards that you sick, wonderful people helped us create. You can now print them on index cards. This is great. You stick index cards in your printer. As long as you teach your computer what size an index card is, you can print all of these Cards Against Astronomy cards and play with them better than the tiny paper squares that comes standard.
Are those 3x5 or 4x6?
3x5 index cards, yes. And there are two versions. There's one where you can print two on a card and cut them. And then there's I printed the economy version, the economy ink version, which for the black cards, instead of I get colored index cards, and this idea I totally stole from the Cards Against Science people, so check that out too. All these games are available for free, obviously, because it's all under the Creative Commons license. There's one version where this whole outline is in black, just like the black cards in the original game, or the ink economy version, because ink is so expensive that just has the label in black. So that was totally clever.
It looks good.
Yeah. So I'm excited to share that and play that, and so thank you, Nancy, for doing that for us. Let's see, what else? We have highs and hellos from Lance and Michael and Nancy and Brandon and Guido. So, yeah, and Nancy says we need to install a window in the wall. Georgia does not want to watch me.
Only if we can open the window and pass
the
things
music
back
in my head while I work, basically.
That would be helpful.
That would be helpful, I think. Well, that's why we have Google Hangouts, is we message each other through the...
I know, but then physically, I don't know. Could make use of that.
We could.
I'll have a weekend project sometime.
Yes.
Nobody's here.
Yes, sure, why not? I am here on the weekends occasionally. All
Well,
right, so first up, we're talking about the general theme. We'll be talking about some learning experiences for lifelong learners. So first we'll be talking about how you can learn cool astronomy stuff with Cosmo Academy, and then we'll be talking some about summer learning opportunities for teachers. But we brought Matthew Francis on here to talk about Cosmo Academy. So do you want to give a brief overview of what Cosmo Academy is?
Well, Cosmo Academy is basically what we're trying to do is be kind of the anti-MOOC. Instead of signing up for a class where you're in with maybe hundreds or thousands of other
What is
people,
MOOC? What is
MOOC, massive open online class
Right?
or course, I forget what the C stands for, but you've seen names like Khan Academy, and a lot of universities run these now. But there are classes that are you have virtually no contact with any other students. You have no contact with the instructors. You may have hundreds or thousands of fellow students, and the only thing they really have going for them in terms of learning is low or no cost. So they can be fun, they can be rewarding, but you don't really get a chance to learn about topics in a small setting. You don't get to ask questions. Most people who sign up for MOOCs never finish them. Our classes are small. They're limited to 8 students per section. Sometimes we offer more than one section. You actually can interact with the instructors. If you take a class from me, you actually talk to me, and I talk to you. Maybe that's not a positive thing, but who knows?
It's cool.
But I mean, you can get you want to talk about you get me started talking about black holes. It's the hard part is getting me to stop. So this is a chance to talk black holes with me and learn about them with people who are similarly interested. Most of our classes require no prior knowledge. We have a few slated. We have a few that have a little bit higher skill level, like ones that require some knowledge of computer software. But most of our classes require no particular prior knowledge. You don't have to have, degrees. You don't have to have, don't have to have a college education. We expect that if you can look at an equation that is no more complicated than one you might see in a high school class, you're good without screaming and running away. That's as exciting as it gets. But we cover topics in depth that might not be more than 20 minutes of an astronomy 101 class. If you take a college class or community college class on astronomy, black holes will be there, but they probably won't be more than a few minutes of the class. Whereas if you take a class with us, you get 4 hours of black holes. We can really talk about what black hole research is about. We can talk about, why black holes are not just this crazy idea, how black holes actually shape galaxies that they inhabit. We can talk about how we know they exist, even though at first blush they might seem to be utterly invisible. We talk about that sort of thing. We talk about what the laws of gravity say about them. That's the black holes class. We've also offered classes on radio astronomy. We have another one coming up in a few weeks, specifically on. It's not just radio astronomy. It's zooming in on what we can learn from 21 centimeter emission. Okay, 21 centimeter emission is, okay, so here's my ruler. I always have to bring this one out. Okay, that is a wave that repeats itself over that much of a distance. Okay, that's the kind of light that's emitted by neutral hydrogen atoms. Okay, so just plain old hydrogen, one proton, one electron. That's the most common stuff, atoms in the universe. So there's a lot of neutral hydrogen out there. So that's a specific, so we can devote an entire class to that. What can we learn about it? And our instructor, Catherine Williamson, it works for National Radio Astronomy Observatory, NRAO. She is going to provide, hopefully, a little bit of a tour from one of the telescopes that's on site at Green Bank. There's all sorts of things we can do in a class like this. So that's an exciting one coming up at the end of this month. So I hope you'll consider looking into that one as well. So we've got classes that are a little more theory-oriented, like the black holes. We've got classes that are a little more about how do we see the stuff we want to see, that kind of class. And then we've got a third type of class, which is how do we turn data into pretty pictures, because we all love to look at those pretty pictures, but that's not what comes out of the telescope. So that's a third category of class. So we can offer all sorts of things, really awesome stuff.
And I would think with the small group of students that you have, that even once you get into a topic, you can kind of take the class almost any way your students might want to go, right? If you've got some students with a particular interest or particular issues they've heard of or current events, I mean, a lot of flexibility, right?
Exactly. I particularly start every class with a, have you heard any news within the last few days? And with something like, a lot of the topics we cover, the answer is yes.
Yep.
Yeah, when I was teaching the Life Beyond Earth class, Craig
Yes.
Landon, one of the participants, pointed out that at the same, if I had known this, I would have pushed the class a couple weeks later. But at the same time, there was a conference going on about the search for life in the universe, search for life in the galaxy.
Yeah.
And I would have, if I had known that, I probably would have pushed the class later so that that whole conference could have ended and we could have used all the information. But because the entire conference was recorded, all the videos were recorded, we were able to watch a couple of the presentations and then discuss them in class. And so that was happening right at that time.
Oh, wow, perfect.
So yeah, there's the black holes class that Matthew's showing. So when does this one start?
This one starts, I gotta check gotta remember the actual start date. The start date, let me scroll down. Magic. Start date is June 16th.
Okay. And you've got two sections.
So that's two sections, early-ish. That's an experiment. We have not tried that sort of thing before. So those of you who are in Europe, maybe that time would be a little more acceptable than starting after midnight your local time, which is what our evening classes tend to be.
Time. I was so impressed. But yes. Yeah, actually, that's part of the reason we moved this show earlier, was for the European audience as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's good. So there's two sections of that, and then there's one section of the I'm so excited for the 21 centimeter class. So Karen and I did not.
Yeah, this should be fun.
Did not overlap at the NRAO, unfortunately, because she's awesome. Catherine, I think I must have met her through a conference, but she does outreach, public education outreach at NRAO. So that class starts July 2nd. She is also one of the astronomy ambassadors. We did a show from AAS back in January, so she was one of the astronomy ambassadors that was on that show. So she's really cool, really excited, really awesome to learn from. So I'm thrilled that you guys have that starting up. I don't know how the tour is going to work since there's no Wi-Fi at Green Bank, but...
Well, again, we'll have to see how that works.
Yeah.
Certainly, she's going to be sharing some data from one of the telescopes.
Definitely.
She was kind of hoping to be able to let the students use the telescope, but I think that it's not time.
Yeah. They do that for the summer students occasionally, the summer undergraduate research assistants, but they have to plan it months in advance. So, but now we know.
Yep.
Awesome. And then
CosmoAcademy.org. I'm sorry.
Yeah, CosmoAcademy.org. That'll take you to
CosmoAcademy.org, and which is under my name on the video screen. That's where you can find the links to all of our classes. We've got a couple more coming up. Hopefully, we've got another class on studying small bodies in the solar system, asteroids and comets, that hopefully will be coming up before the end of summer. Stay tuned for that. Forget what else we've got possibly lined up. So
Awesome. And the
many good things.
Right? So Sandy Springman taught one about asteroids. Sandy Springman, our resident
That
asteroid
just
gaffer
ended.
in Arecibo. So, yeah.
Yes.
Excellent. Tell me, Dr. Matthew Francis, do black holes suck?
No. Black holes.
That is what
that's always the. I should have brought that. I made a meme before memes were a thing, of Butthead from Beavis and Butthead saying black holes suck, and the caption says Butthead is wrong. There's sort of the idea that if you have a black hole, everything is going to get sucked into it, but actually black holes work through normal gravity. Admittedly, much stronger version of normal gravity, but the black hole at the center of the Milky Way, if you took it away, the sun would just follow its normal path around the galactic center. So, in fact, there are stars orbiting the central black hole in the Milky Way. That's a really beautiful image and animation that researchers have made. Those stars are following perfectly normal, stable orbits around this black hole, not getting sucked in at all. That isn't to say that some stuff doesn't fall in, and that's something that astronomers study extensively to try to learn how black holes behave. And all this stuff is part of the class.
It's not already a t-shirt.
What was that now?
Black holes don't suck should be a t-shirt.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes, we should make one.
I had to pull up this one that I used as a blog post. One more time, because people just love throwing around that acronym. In fact, I was at a conference and somebody said it and couldn't remember what it stood for. They're like, massive online ook. Not to discount MOOCs, I actually just started one of the coding ones from Harvard, and which is great because there's a local meetup attached to it, so I can meet up with the local meetup people and actually do a thing. So it's totally cool. It's just a very different environment from what we have going in the Hangouts.
Yeah, but that's what kind of keeps a lot of people engaged. Is there some sort of actual face-to-face, or at least more localized interaction? So it's not just you're looking at some video or lecture from way far away. There's more to it that keeps you excited about it and a chance to talk and discuss things. So. Yeah, so small class or small version of a class is a really good thing.
Yep.
Yeah. So Matthew, I have a question more about what goes on in the classes too, and I imagine they're all different a little bit depending on who's teaching them. And maybe you can talk a little bit about that. But so there's discussion and maybe tours of telescopes and things like that. Are there things like projects and homework and assigned readings and all that good stuff?
It depends on the class.
Depends on the class, yeah.
It really does depend on the class.
Yeah.
The ones that are involved with making images are very project-oriented.
Yeah.
The idea is that you should be able to learn how to do this yourself. I have done, I've done kind of short report assignments for homework. I've done some simple calculation assignments.
Did you have to do presentations? I think I went to that. One of the first. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the first one I did do a presentation. For the shorter classes that we've been doing since, there's not much time, so I've dropped that. If we did a longer class, I might bring that back, but we're the ones we've been doing recently have been 4 hours long, and if you have 8 students in the class and each do a 5-minute presentation, then 1/4 of the class is gone, the entire class they've signed up for. So, and also there's very little time for them to think about their projects and put one together.
Yeah.
So, for presentations, so that's doesn't mean that it'll never happen. It's just that, there's limits to what we can do in the format as well. But we've done it.
I had them, watch a couple of lectures that were happening that week at a conference.
Conference, yeah.
And we had just a whole discussion section on those 2 lectures.
That's great.
So that's the kind of thing that I do. Because yeah, like I said, it's a 4 hours. It's over the course of 2 weeks. So I don't want to bombard them, and that's usually the kind of assignments that I give. And nice with homework.
And also, I'll send them out. I'll send students out to hunt down news stories.
Yes.
So.
Good one as well. Yeah. So, all right. Anything else about CosmoAcademy? Things people should know.
Let me think.
Do you take
I think if there's anything important.
Do you take suggestions for new courses?
Yes.
Ideas, things people want to know about.
Yes, we will definitely take suggestions. The limitation, of course, is if we have an instructor who can handle that.
Yes.
Like if you want a class on Saturn, we would love to offer a class on Saturn, but we need to Shanghai somebody to teach it for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because anything smaller than a galaxy, I don't know much about. So, well, black holes, but yeah. Solar system is not my area, so we would need to find somebody who knows something about the topic. But that's another good thing about these classes is we do have experts in these particular areas.
And if you are an expert in a particular area, or know one who might be interested in teaching a class on the side, if they're not already overwhelmed. Yeah. I was gonna say about half my friends come back with, I'm already overwhelmed, but we've pulled a bunch of people out of who do have some spare time to work on a class like this, and so that is.
Yep.
We have a question about black holes from Daniel. Do black holes connect with other black holes in galaxies? Is it a mesh network of holes if you look at it on a larger scale?
Probably not, simply because the math that we have that would allow black holes to connect with each other, we've all run across those. They're wormholes, is what they're called, or sometimes Einstein-Rosen bridges, if you want to be, let's be snooty about it. But those are allowed within the structure of the theory, but they only exist in the abstract because as soon as you drop anything into a wormhole, it collapses. Mm-hmm. So there was this story that made me tear what little hair I have left out a couple weeks ago that was saying, oh, the black hole at the center of the Milky Way is actually a wormhole. Which is, it's like, yeah, well, that's fine, but unless you have an entirely new theory which is not supported by evidence so far, there's no way to make a black hole a bridge to anywhere but oblivion. It's just not, there's no way to make it anything other than an endpoint, a collapse. So.
Bridge to oblivion.
It's a cool idea.
Story.
I know. It sounds like exciting.
So no Stargates.
One-way ticket, though.
Basically, we don't know of whether it's possible to have. That's what I think of when I think of network of black holes. I think Stargate. It's a great sci-fi.
I usually think Contact.
Or Contact.
Okay.
But you're right, Contact too. Spoiler alert!
By the way, that's actually a cool. That's actually a cool story. Carl Sagan wanted a way to get people from one part of the galaxy to another without any time passing, and so he called up Kip Thorne, who is a gravitational theorist, and Thorne worked out what a wormhole would be like, and so basically they turned this abstract idea from the theory of gravity into something for science fiction, and the rest is history, I guess.
Yeah.
So
awesome. We got a question, actually. Brandon Stroop asked, where can I print those cards, meaning the Cards Against Astronomy? And then Nancy replied back, but I will say this for the listeners and viewers as well. The cards are available in numerous formats at a link at CosmoQuest, which is up on the screen now, but you can also go to cardsagainastastronomy.com and it will take you right there. because I randomly buy interesting
That's right.
domain names. And a year later, we finally use them. So yeah, cardsagainst.astronomy.com will take you there quickly. If you're on CosmoQuest, there's a section called Space Play where we're starting to post all the science games that we have been trying to work on. So that's where you can print them. And then in the education tab at CosmoQuest, you can see CosmoAcademy, Space Play, Educator Zone, all of the different ways that you can learn or help others learn about science. So, yeah, cool. All right, I think we are going to transition to talking about learning opportunities for teachers. Matthew, if you want to stay or go, it's up to you.
I think I will probably vanish, but feel free to drop me email. You can find me on Twitter at Dr. M.R. Francis.
Dr. Mr. Francis.
Yes. I have to say that so that Nicole can make her joke. Let's see, and of course, CosmoAcademy.org for all of your online, well, some of your online learning needs.
For your astronomical.
Thank you all.
Class learning. See you later, Matthew.
Thanks, Matthew.
Bye.
Yay. So whenever somebody asks me a cosmology question and I say I don't know, I'm usually going off to ask either him or Brian Coberline to our weekly space hangout.
Good to have resources. It's good to know people.
Yeah, they're good with the cosmology, not as good at the big scale cosmology stuff. We have, he just left as we've got another black hole question.
Well,
from Lan.
I'll have to ask.
So after mentioning the black hole at the center of the Milky Way, it made me consider the eventual collision of Andromeda, which also likely has a black hole. That's true. What would be the results of a collision between two black holes, and how would it happen? A bigger black hole! So this we have seen happen in galaxy collisions. As the galaxies come together, the stars don't collide because there's so much space between the stars, but the gas clouds do collide, and a lot of the gas kind of funnels into the centers of these galaxies. And so the black holes become active because they have a whole lot of material falling onto them. Not getting sucked in, but falling onto them. And eventually the two black holes will get closer and closer and spiral around each other and merge to make a larger black hole. And that's how we think these million and billion solar mass black holes grew to be that size in the centers of all these galaxies. And when they are spiraling around each other very closely, we think they're giving off gravitational waves. And so that's something that a lot of gravitational wave detectors are being built to detect. But we've also seen it with radio telescopes to black holes in fairly close orbit around each other in merging galaxies. So there's a black hole question I can answer.
Excellent. So when you say larger black hole or bigger black hole, you mean more massive?
More massive, right.
Okay.
Well, it's more massive, and then by default, because the Schwarzschild radius, the size of the event horizon, is related to the mass, it gets plumper. You know, it's physical.
So that radius actually gets bigger. I couldn't remember the name of the guy. Sorry.
Yeah, Schwarzschild radius gets bigger, and the mass gets bigger. So you get a bigger black hole.
Well, we have that. Well, somebody has that to look forward to, and
I know, 5 billion years from now.
Billion years.
It's gonna be awesome. We're probably gonna have active black holes. They're gonna merge. It's gonna be great.
So much fun.
Great.
The universe is an exciting place.
Yes.
Let's face it.
All right, so let's transition to talking about. Although I could talk about black holes all day. If you want to talk about black holes all day, check out Matthew's class. We are going to talk about learning opportunities for teachers, particularly over the summer. And I couldn't find a link, but I had seen this getting passed around. It was from a website. It was either The Onion or something like The Onion, where the headline was a very snarky, students shocked to find that teachers work over the summer. and as a teacher, Georgia, you understand that. Because you don't necessarily get all that time off.
The 3 months, the classic, right?
Yeah.
What are the 3 best things about teaching? June, July, August.
Yeah.
To be the old joke in a way, but yeah, not really that much anymore. Teachers have always had a little bit of time, depending on your district and how your school year is structured in the summer, but it's not always such an easygoing, relaxing time as many people would like to think. So, and sometimes it's, tasks that are related to your district, things that you're involved with, committee meetings, writing curriculum, maybe teaching summer school. There's things that are going on in most school districts over the summer. And so a lot of teachers stay involved and do things so they don't get this long, lovely expanse of time. But many people are experiencing, longer school years that stop for a little bit, 3 weeks on, 3 weeks off. So, there's a lot of different variations out there on how, the old traditional summer looks these days. So, but if you're lucky enough to still have a nice chunk of time, there's a lot of great things you can do at that time. So I know when I first started teaching, what I did with my time was just sort of recover from the school year, because that's just all I remember about my first few years. It's like, woo, I made it through, yes, and now I'm going to recoup, recover, take a break for the summer. So, that might be the scenario for, some people and for maybe first and second year teachers. But, with that time, there's all kinds of amazing things that you can do with it if you are so inclined. So one of them, of course, is just some type of professional development. So if there's a particular thing that either you or maybe your district is encouraging you to learn about, you can go to all kinds of places to find that kind of learning experience. So sometimes it's a local university, like here at SIUE and the STEM Center. We put on a variety of professional development kinds of things. Sometimes they're very small and focused, like just this Saturday. We had a small professional development session for local teachers on how to use vernier probes. So sometimes it's centered around just, some particular piece of technology or some curriculum. It can be very focused that way. But also we do longer things. We do multiple year professional development sessions, oftentimes involved with a grant of some sort and with other experiences attached to just a classroom experience. So teachers might come out and learn about something for a couple weeks. They might have projects they're working on, and then that might extend into their school year time where they take what they've learned in the summer and try it in their classroom, develop some things to use over the school year, and then come back the following summer and sort of take a look at what happened, how it went, and learn more. So it can be anything from, so very short and focused to longer experiences in the summer. And your local university might be a good place to start if you're searching for different kinds of learning experiences in the summer. But there's also, I guess we should talk about NSTA, National Science Teachers Association. They have lots of online professional development, webinars and things like that. But if you are a member of that organization, you can get on their listservs. And what I've seen, and especially in the spring, things really gear up. You start to see all these wonderful posts. Here's this opportunity in this part of the country for a great trip or a great class over the summer for teachers. And they're not necessarily connected with NSTA, but the members all across the country hear about great things and they post them on these listservs. So you can just go to the basic NSTA list or website and get on their listservs there and find out about all kinds of great opportunities.
Yeah, I think we posted about our workshops, our CosmoQuest workshops on there as well. I used to be, I'm not currently an NSTA member, I've kind of lapsed, but I was on those for a while. It's not necessarily centralized, but it is a good place to post your own opportunity as well as learning about opportunities going on near you.
Yeah, and you can ask too. You can throw out a question, say, I'm in this part of the country, I'm looking for something on, the new science standards, or I just have an interest in geology, and does anybody know of anything going on in the summer, that would pertain to that? And you will get answers. You will get help. That's the great thing about those listservs.
Kurt Godwin comments about at the school district, he's a school district network administrator, and he can attest to the fact that teachers work over the summer. And in particular, he quotes, "So when can I take the network down for maintenance?" And they say, well, the teachers are here until 9 p.m., so after that. So there's an example of teachers working really late hours and using the computer resources to plan ahead for the next thing. So sorry, I hope you have some late night work hours in that case.
I know there's never a good time to take the network down.
Take a network
Let me
down.
tell you, there's just, I'm sure he knows, there's no good time.
So can you tell us a little bit, so I know you had some cool experiences with summer professional development. Would you mind telling us a
I
little bit
know.
about
So
that?
after I got, a few years into teaching and I wanted to do more than just chill out and veg for the summer, I started to, you start to get networks going of people that hear about these things. So a lot of times you will just word of mouth hear about, this great program starting. Here's a great travel experience over here, and you might want to jump into that. So I did start to hear about more and more of these great summer opportunities. And so, of course, my interest being science, all the ones I can tell about are definitely science related, and in particular, astronomy and meteorology. So I love the weather. And I even had one that had some geology in there. So I've thought back, and yeah, there's a few that really stick in my mind that were really cool. A couple are still going on, but not all of them. So the first one that I did was through the AAS, the American Astronomical Society, which we're familiar. They used to have a program. This one's not going anymore. I'm pretty sure. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this one's over. This is the American Astronomical Society Teacher Resource Agent. If I've got that right. AASTRA, another great acronym.
Astra.
Yes, and so this was a longer summer opportunity. It went for many years, and I'm not even sure how long it went for. I was involved for 1 year, and this was where, depending on where you were in the United States, a local university would host some of this, and you would go down and you would take about 3 weeks in the summer with a lot of other local teachers who were also interested, and you would stay. We stayed in the dorms at Loyola University, which was a lot of fun. At this point, this was in Chicago, and you would learn a lot of good astronomy, again, a lot of current event kind of stuff, plus you would also learn activities that you could take back into your classroom. So we did a lot of Project Astro stuff. And you would do visits, local visits. So Yerkes University was not too far away from where we were, so that was a place that we went to. So it's just this great combination of learning new topics and more about topics in astronomy, meeting lots of other teachers that also had similar interests, and so you would get a great network going. And then visiting local areas around you. So, you learned more about what resources were available just in the area. And then often there were university professors that were involved and would either be involved with the whole thing or just at least be coming in and giving sort of a guest lecture type of thing. And those people became great resources as well. So if you went back to the classroom and you had a question, you had somebody that you could contact. So just the combination of, personal learning, learning about something that you as an instructor were interested in and wanted to know more about, plus getting more ideas for the classroom, plus just meeting other people that were also interested in your favorite topic. That combination made a really powerful experience and something that was very memorable. And the other cool thing was this happened in 1994, the summer of 1994, where comet Shoemaker-Levy 9 plowed into Jupiter, or many pieces of that comet plowed into Jupiter, and that was going on at the same time. So like you guys and Matthew just talked about, current events that happen during these things just, make it even more exciting and memorable. So I remember us being all going crazy about that. And this was before, the internet was there, but the devices were not all like we have them today, and so it was like scrambling trying to find an actual TV where we could watch some of the coverage of this, because you didn't have computers and internet, but just stuff wasn't just readily broadcasted as quickly like it is today over a variety of media. So that was kind of cool and very memorable. And then the other thing about this program is it's what you hear more now called train the trainer. So the teachers were there. We were learning all this great stuff, more astronomy content, more activities. And then part of what we had to do once we were all finished was to go back to our districts and create teaching and learning opportunities for people there and for our students there. So, of course, we would implement a lot of activities we learned in the classroom, but we would also have like star parties for parents, family science nights. So we had to sort of, share the knowledge back at our local district and our local town. So, and then we would also teach our other instructors and teachers that were in our building. So, so things just sort of got disseminated that way. So that was a very exciting program. And I know, I'm not sure, now you're doing the Astronomy Ambassadors, right? And I know that's through AAS.
That's for...
but that's a little different, right?
That's for scientists, yeah.
Right, okay.
Grad students, postdocs, and
I was poking around on the website, the AAS, just to see if there was still anything lingering from this old program, and I didn't see anything, but I saw that, and I remembered.
Well, that's the thing we were
discussing. That one, but that's a little different.
Yeah, we were discussing a bit before the show, is that because of the way funding goes up and down, sometimes the same programs aren't permanent. So they'll do it for a few years, and then the funding runs out, and then people will move on to something else and find funding for a different project. So there are lots of
yes, that's
related
exactly
opportunities, but not the same.
What happens, unfortunately, right. So yeah, they're always thinking of sustainability and how to keep things going, and even, ideally if the grant or the program itself, doesn't last forever, but still the experiences and the networking, hopefully, the resources, the knowledge will keep sort of, rippling outward.
Right. The same people work on different projects.
Yeah, exactly.
So you mentioned just paying attention to local universities, word of mouth, the NSTA listservs. Anything else for finding?
Yeah, different associations, and the one nice thing about the summer stuff is it gives teachers a chance to focus on something that they are really interested in. So depending on your grade level and your district, and oftentimes you find yourself teaching the things that maybe you're just not comfortable with, but maybe just aren't your favorite thing either, and that changes, and that's a part of a lot of teaching. But in the summer it's always cool because you can sort of focus on what you really would like to learn more about. And so if, for example, it is astronomy, just start looking for different astronomy associations, because even things, like typically like, the AAS is, you think, yeah, just for scientists, just for astronomers, but most associations like that, they have an education, arm, I guess, if you want to call it that, or an outreach section. And so there, just by going to websites and digging around a little bit, usually they offer some kind of course or summer experience. For example, the Geological Society of America, the GSA, they have summer trips for teachers. They have workshops that they sponsor. So again, if if geology is more your thing, then you can go there and see what they have. They have trips. I know they've got one to Hawaii. They have one to Mammoth Caves in Kentucky, which I've been to. It's fabulous. And most of these, I think they're going to do the Hawaii trip again next year. But at this point, it's too late to sort of apply for these, but be thinking about next year. So I would say, whatever your interest is, look for some of these bigger organizations, because they will be sponsoring a lot of these kinds of experiences and trips. NSTA is also good, again. If they're not offering something themselves, it's usually a place where you can ask and find out what's going on close to you.
Sure. Yeah. Other thing I think of is local science centers and science museums. I know I don't remember which one I've been to, but a lot of these centers like that will have professional development or workshops for teachers as well.
Yes, so yeah, museums definitely do. And then even a little more locally, usually there's a local sort of or regional office of education of some sort that encompasses, several school districts within an area of a state. And a lot of times they'll be offering usually smaller and more focused workshops and things. But again, a good place to start to see if there's anything that you need or are interested in.
What I've discovered about science museums, I think it was one in North Carolina. They gave us a tour before Science Online one year, and science museums, like the stuff you see on display, is a tiny, tiny fraction of all the specimens they actually have to study and work with. And so I think some of these programs will actually give you that background tour of like, here's the pretty things on display, and then like in the basement or in some other like interior hallway, there's all the specimens that they use for study, and so you can kind of get a glimpse of that world as well. For, like,
what's even cooler is that a lot of museums do overnights or even multiple overnights, and there's nothing cooler than camping out on the floor of a big museum at night. They did that one. This was actually in the winter. It was over winter break, but my fellow teachers and I, we went to Science and Industry Museum in Chicago, and they were doing it overnight, and you got to just, of course, have the museum to yourself.
Sleep over.
I know, and you bring your sleeping bag, and you could pick your favorite, exhibit to sleep near, and then you get to see a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff, which is just really cool. And I think what's really important for these summer experiences is not just the knowledge that you get and the people that you meet, but just overall it excites teachers and it re-energizes them, as you look for towards the new year, which comes around really fast. Summers are short and quick these days. So you get so excited, and you want to bring all this stuff back to your classroom the next year and share it with your students, and that is just so worthwhile, just having being energized again like that. A lot of fun.
We also have, so we're part of a STEM center at a university, and so there is, if you go to stemideas.org, which is the website for our STEM center, there's a list, there's actually a map of, it says the international STEM community. So far we've got all the U.S. locations that they've been able to find so far. So you may have a STEM center at a university near you. You can check out that map. I'll post a link to that on the event page. Not all of them do teacher professional development.
I was going to say, I bet most of them do.
Yeah, some are.
They may have a link to something going on. Yep, absolutely.
I wanted to mention a couple of the even bigger full summer opportunities that I've seen come up. I was an REU student way back in the day. That's research experience for undergraduates, and there's a parallel program often funded by the National Science Foundation called RET, Research Experiences for Teachers. And it's very similar to the RU program that you're paired up with a scientist and you get to work on a science research project. So I was working, gosh, my first one where I first saw the RETs, it was when I was at MIT Haystack Radio Observatory in New Hampshire, where Pamela and I both have a pedigree that goes back there. There were several of us who were undergrads, and then there were several teachers who were all working on radio astronomy type research projects. So the National Science Foundation runs those. RETnetwork.org is a good place to find information about that. And it will have information. Again, they've already started for this summer, but they usually have an application process that it's the same as the REU, probably happens in winter for the next summer, so you can apply for that. That'll take care of your summer. You'll be doing research, and you'll be able to bring that experience back to your classroom when you go back in the fall. So RET is a really good broad program, different types of sciences, and in pretty much every state as well. So you don't necessarily have to go far. But if you can travel, there you go. If you're really into traveling far, this is a program that came up during one of our previous shows when we talked to the Ice Cube people. There is a group called Polar Trek, TREC, Teachers and Researchers Exploring and Collaborating. You could spend time in Antarctica. How cool is that? They're taking teachers down to Antarctica, and the teachers are helping the scientists do research. So if you are particularly adventurous, if you are particularly not averse to cold, that's a possibility as well. So check out that program so you can spend some time helping do research in Antarctica, and you can bring those experiences back to your classroom as well. So that's Polar Trek. Sorry, polartrek.com.
And you can still go to space camp if you're a
Oh,
teacher.
that's right.
Yeah, so there's still space camp for educators, and this is one I did a long time ago also, and it is very fun. You get to do missions. And if you're more familiar, some people might be more familiar with regular the Challenger centers where you go and you take your kids and they'll do missions and learn lots of good space science and do activities, and that's really the format for the teacher version as well. But again, you get to meet a lot of great fellow teachers. You get put on teams where you're doing like a shuttle mission, some sort of EVA type space mission, and then lots of great materials that you get. Mine's at home. You get this huge 3-ring binder of stuff, which is another thing. Teachers love to get more activities and more ideas, so you can still do space camp for educators and have a blast over the summer pretending to be an astronaut. Yee! What fun.
And spacecamp.com, they still are registering for the summer, so you can still check that one out. I love that. You're never too old for space camp.
I saw that too, and it's true.
I've never been, and that needs to be fixed. But yeah, the special one for educators is available over the summer, so that's really cool. So what was space camp like? I'm jealous.
I don't know. The coolest thing, you got to do some of the simulators. You got to do a shuttle mission, so you got to be, you would be assigned one of the crew members, and honestly, I think I was a co-pilot, but I can't really remember. I remember trying to, land the shuttle on one of our practice missions, and it didn't really go all that well, but it was still a lot of fun. You got to just do a lot of sort of regular classroom activities, and then the people that were also there were very gung-ho, other teachers, and so you got to hang out and interact with them. You got your own flight suit at the time. I don't know if they still do that, which is awesome. And I still have mine. You just can't beat that. And a lot of just great, fun people there. So I believe we stayed, I think it was a week. I don't know how long they are now.
Yeah, I think Nancy Graziano.
And it was, and of course there's museums. I mean, there's places you get tours down there. So, that was all amazing too. So for somebody who was just, a space enthusiast, and at the time, of course, the shuttle was still flying, and that was just amazing also.
Nancy Graziano also said, I want to go to camp, so apparently she and I we're gonna team up and go, because we've never been.
It's still really cool. And again, I went many years ago, so I can only imagine that simulations and things have been upgraded in some sense, that it's even more cool now.
Now, if space isn't your thing, now I think this would be. I was at an American Geophysical Union meeting one year, and I told Pamela, if this astronomy thing doesn't work out, I'm going to be an ocean researcher, because they get to research things. That's cool. So there's NOAA Teacher at Sea. That's teacher@sea.noaa.gov. You can spend 1 to 3 weeks on a research vessel. All the research I hear about they do on these research vessels sounds so cool. I mean, you can. They have a blog that follows all the teachers as they go. So it's like I said, it's 1 to 3 weeks program. You can fit that in the summer. You can fit that in during a break, and actually help researchers out on research vessels study things like microbes, to sharks, to fish, to all the things in the in the sea. So that I think is a really cool opportunity as well, because again, you're helping the research and going to some fabulous new places. And doing something super hands-on. And then science teachers aboard research ships. or STARS, is another such program that lets you do research on a research vessel. But yeah, I totally want to go.
Go out to sea.
Go out to sea. I'm gonna join David Schiffman and tag sharks. Leave astronomy behind and go tag sharks.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
That's some more. I think maybe with that and Antarctica, you could call that like extreme professional development.
You can. I mean, and there's all kinds of stuff like that out there where you get that. It's authentic. You're out there actually, not in the classroom, but out on a boat, or at least in a really cool like simulator that would be similar to something like space camp that the astronauts would have used. So it's beyond classroom learning, which is excellent.
Guido says, so speaking of extreme, maybe in only a few decades, space camp will really happen in space.
Oh, yeah.
About a few decades. That would be
awesome. Happen. That could definitely happen.
You have to write a grant for that. Speaking of cost-effective, one more thing I found was an article on Edutopia about no-cost summer travel for teachers. So there are different experiences. And this particular article, again, I'll share the link that tells you a little bit about the application process for the different programs that you might want to join, and then things like the Peace Corps, where you can serve a much shorter commitment. Like usually Peace Corps tour is 2 years, but teachers can do a shorter, few months to a year commitment to focus on education. So there are different ways that you can travel and really get to experience the world. And they also include the Teacher at Sea program in ways that you're giving back and helping out, whether you're a humanities teacher or a science teacher. These kind of opportunities are listed on this article, so I'll share that one as well.
Most of these things are not free, unfortunately, and depending on the size of them and the scale.
Right.
But it's worth asking around and just start at your local school office and go to district and just keep asking, because sometimes there are funding sources or there's a little bit of money over here, and it's definitely worth asking. And then just depending on how badly you want to do it, it might be something that you save up for and use your own money.
Well, the things like RET are funded by NSF or the NOA Teacher at Sea are funded by NOA.
There's some funding out there for them, yeah.
So those programs are funded. You can just go to them. Some of them may even pay you a stipend. I don't know how much the RET stipend was compared to the REU stipend, but the bigger national programs like that, that's why I think they're more stable. They come back every year because they have bigger pots of funding, whereas some of the smaller ones, when the grant runs out, it runs out, and so they're get repeated. But for the big research ones, I think a lot of them, of course, you're going to have to worry about. If you have a family that you're leaving for a couple months, or a household that you're leaving empty for a couple months, that is another issue. That was a lot easier to do when I was a college student because you get kicked out of the dorms in the summer. So what are you gonna do anyway?
Oh, I gotta go somewhere. Where can I go?
Out
to sea. Yes.
Yeah. So, but a lot of these bigger trips, you don't necessarily have to. Space camp, I think you do have to pay for, but some of these large research trips you don't. They do have funding opportunities. It depends program by program. And even like our professional development workshops are week-long. We have a stipend for teachers to come, and so that helps entice people to come and join us for a week. So they're not paying us. We're getting money from a grant to put on the workshop, and then we're giving them a stipend to help cover things like transportation, childcare costs, all of that stuff.
Yeah, so there's many different models out there for how these things keep running and run. So, but it definitely pays to ask. And then the other thing too is it's not just a cool experience, but a lot of them will give you some sort of graduate credit,
right.
Especially if they're somehow connected with the university, and a lot of them are, or at least CPDUs, those things that all teachers need. Most of them seem to.
For what?
Oh, another great acronym. Continuing Professional Development Unit, I think. and you need so many of them, I forget how many, every year or for some period of time. But you need them to keep your certification or your licensure, which I think that's changed too. So lots of stuff to keep up on, but that kind of stuff is usually tagged on to a lot of these experiences. So
you're covering some requirements in addition to doing something that is fun and good for you.
Yes, well, exactly. I know, the best of both.
Awesome. Any other opportunities come to mind? I think I ran out of my links.
No, those are the biggies that I remember because they're just, again, they're just so much in line with my personal interest. And I just figured, even if you're kind of working, you got to do a little work over the summer, but for teachers, that's the time to get a little me time. You've been working like crazy for the whole year and helping the students and all that, and now the summer is, if not super relaxing anymore, at least it might be something that is really tailored to your interests. Time for you to explore more about what you like to do and learn about.
I had a blast at the Terra Luna Teacher Professional Development last summer, a week long. Because I've never been a school teacher, but getting to talk one-on-one with the teachers about the science and working with the educators that we have on the team, getting to watch them mentor these teachers and show them these new cool activities and bringing in the science. It was just a really great experience. And we're repeating it again in a couple of weeks for Investigate. We have like 20 people coming this time. I'm so excited. So I hope we still get as much awesome. We have 20 people for a week. I'm sure there's going to be lots more one-on-one interactions. So I get to learn a little bit, and they get to learn a little bit, and it's a really, really cool time. So yay.
Lots of good learning.
Yes, all the learning. That's the best part, is seeing teachers who are passionate about the subject and about learning it and learning what the new science is, the stuff that's not in their textbooks, because the textbooks haven't caught up yet. We can add that experience to their teaching.
Right. Oh yeah, and then you and like our teachers become resources for the participants later in the year. If they get into something, a question, or you could come and do Google Hangout in their classroom and actually talk to their kids. I mean, it's those kinds of relationships get going, and they're really fun and helpful. So it becomes a good resource, and that is that's some of the sustainability that happens. So
adopt a scientist. Yeah. Me. I would totally be adopted by a classroom. That would be great. All right. I think that is it. I'm going to check the comments real quickly, see if there's anything that we missed. Just more about Space Camp. Yes, there is adult Space Camp. I know. It's the money and the time and the stuff and the things. And
there's also like parent and child Space Camp, too. So, yeah, if you're a dad or mom and you want to go with your child, at least they used to have that, I should say. I think they still do.
Awesome. Yes.
Another version. Yeah.
Family Space Camp. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching, for listening. Let's see. So today being Wednesday, the Space Hangout will be Friday. So I'll give you the rundown of all the upcoming shows. Fraser Kane pulls together a bunch of space enthusiasts together to talk about the top stories from the week. And of course, this week is the American Astronomical Society meeting in Boston, so there's a lot of interesting press releases coming out from that meeting, so there'll be plenty of space news to talk about. In fact, I've been using the CosmoQuest Twitter and Google Plus and Twitter and Google Plus feeds to share some of the prettiest space pictures that have come out this week, so you should check that out. On Sunday, actually, I think the Virtual Star Party is moving to a monthly format rather than weekly. I know they've been having a lot of issues with weather, but they are planning to do a monthly format which will not be canceled, even in case of inclement weather. They will build up some imagery throughout the month to show you in case everybody's clouded out like it has been lately. So check out the
virtual star party.
Yes, the virtual star party. So the virtual star party is moving to a new monthly format. So check out Virtual Star Party on Google Plus for more about that. Monday, Pamela will be back from traveling. I think she had back-to-back trips. So I think they'll be restarting Astronomy Cast on Monday. And then next Wednesday, here on Learning Space, we'll be talking about a dark sky preserve in Portugal, Dark Sky Alqueva. So we'll go back to the dark skies thing we've been talking about, and some ways that areas are preserving it, like the natural resource that it is. So that'll be next week's Learning Space, same time, same place. I think that's it. Go learn things!
Good. I know. It's summertime. Keep learning. Don't
It's
stop.
summertime, keep learning. Well, okay, it's summertime in the Northern Hemisphere, keep learning. You can keep learning in the Southern Hemisphere even though it's winter too.
Very true. Very true.
Let's be global. All right. Thanks so much, Georgia. I'll see everybody next week.
Yep. Thanks. Bye-bye.